What is going on, guys? We are here today with Adam from Astrl Clothing. We are super excited to have him here. He's going to explain his story today. I'm telling you, his brand has been blowing up here. Not just here in Albuquerque, not just here in the United States, everywhere throughout the whole world. This shit is blowing up. So he's going to tell us a little bit about his story. Adam, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. Thanks.
Good to have you. No, man. We're super excited, brother. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. First and foremost, where did you grow up?
So I'm from Albuquerque here, born and raised.
Okay.
Went to Valley High School, pretty much like a very typical Albuquerque existence. I came up like a skater kid, kind of in like a counterculture crowd, doing graffiti, like punk rock, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that background is a lot of kind of what led to me getting to where I'm at now, and like kind of converting like those kind of energies, whether it was like the creative or the rebellious side of things. Like, how do I make a way? How do I leverage that into something that's actually tangible and positive for my life?
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. What were you like a troubled kid? Did you like school, man? How was like your upbringing, bro?
So it was middle class,
Okay.
but I got into trouble as a kid for sure. And I struggled a lot with like authority and with kind of like existing within the box.
Yeah.
That was always, I just didn't get that, and I didn't understand like certain parts of society, to be honest with you. And so doing rebellious things, skating and graffiti, and like just being kind of like a knucklehead, basically, like that's sort of what it was. But I was raised well, and I did have like this idea that like, well, you can't fully go down that path, and you got to make something of yourself at some point,
Yeah.
And so as I got older, just like everybody else does, I started to become more mature, and some of the unfair things that I saw in the world, it's like, yeah, those things exist, and yeah, we should like feel like we want to do something to change that, but just being mad at the world isn't going to change anything. And that's when I really started to kind of change my perspective and think, I need to be active in changing my life and, the community around me, and the things that I don't like to see in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, especially, Albuquerque, bro. It's like, there's so much stuff going on nowadays here, man. And it's good to have people like you, they're creatives again, but also want to make a big impact inside the community. Because, very easily you have these sort of, richer people or people that are better off that don't want anything to do with the community itself. They kind of just like want everything for themselves. What was kind of, the decision that came up with you in terms of trying to start like your brand? Was it like just to express yourself, or was it more because you wanted that to mean something for the people?
Well, it's definitely both, to be honest. So like my journey in business started when I started college, which sounds weird because it's like you go to college and then you start a business, right?
Absolutely.
That's like not what I did at all. I went to college and then I read about like Warby Parker, the glasses guys, and and they started that huge glasses business from while they were in grad school. So I was like, you know what? All this stuff I'm learning, I'm going to actively apply, because there's all these hypothetical things that you have to do in college, like write a business plan or make a marketing plan or make a logo. And so as I started doing all that, I was like, no, we got to convert this. And so at the first kind of business venture I was a part of was an entertainment company. And so we hosted events at breweries and other spaces. Like we did some stuff with Dave & Buster's, where, we brought in a DJ and made it a whole party. And that was fun and it was good. But, the people that were in it all kind of had a different vision for it.
Yeah.
And so ultimately we all decided like, we'll all pursue our own separate visions. And so that's where Astrl was birthed. Because at that point I said like, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. And at that time also was when I was really learning how to design. And the first time I had to do a logo for a class, I literally like did like, the class thing, meet the person, make them a logo.
Okay.
Later that night, I made my first logo for like the first rendition of the Astrl logo. And after that, it was done.
What did that look like? Was it pretty
It was just a triangle with a dot in it to begin with.
That's not bad.
Which is still what it is now. It's a little
Yeah.
bit more, a little more flavor to it.
No, I like that, bro.
To it now.
It looks hot.
Thank you,
looks
dude.
hot,
I
man.
appreciate it.
Did you graduate college, or did you kind of
Actually, so I'm gonna graduate in a week and a half.
Oh, so you're still going to school?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So I did that, and that was kind of like a weird decision, right? Because like that whole idea that you can make it without college and that you probably should, I totally believe that. To anybody out there that's like, oh, do I go to college? Well, if you feel like you have some passion, especially if it's creative passion, like you can learn everything you need to learn off of YouTube and off of your network through mentors and friends that are already in it. And for me, it just didn't really like manifest that way. For me, it was like, I didn't really like feel like I had those resources, and going to college was something that really like allowed me to like see what the possibilities were.
Absolutely.
So it worked for me, but I totally say like if you don't want to do it or you can't afford to do it, don't do it to yourself. You know
and
what I mean?
agree, man. I think a lot of the times what people think about entrepreneurs in terms of like, they think that entrepreneurs don't want them to go to school, or they're like, school's bad. If you want to be a successful millionaire or a multi-billionaire, like a lot of them are, you shouldn't go to school. You shouldn't waste your time. But I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like everybody has their own story. Like some people, college might work. Other people, it don't. It's a matter of like what you want to do, what you want to study. First of all, like, if college is going to get you to that next level, then do it, like.
Yeah, like if you're going to be like an architect or a filmmaker, like you should probably go to
school.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but there's a lot of stuff that can be done without it, including business, to be quite honest. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
At the end of the day, like there's so many resources as far as reading books, YouTube, even, the Instagram channels we follow really can craft you. And that isn't to say that I haven't been paying attention to all that too, because college is only part of my story.
Absolutely.
Something that I feel is absolutely key to entrepreneurship or being successful anywhere is self-education.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, like the onus is on you to like find out how to do it. Because when I got into the clothing thing, I knew nothing, man. Like I wasn't even like a big streetwear head. I was not a hype beast. I wasn't like a sneakerhead really. I like to dress nicely, but I wasn't like really brand oriented. But it was like one day I just understood like the level of expression I could use through that platform. And so basically I was like, we could do this.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to learn, how to do accounting, how to make logos, how do I order my clothes, how do I market this whole thing? And all you do is look at the people who've done it successfully before you.
Yeah.
And you take these little pieces, but that sounds like a lot of work, and it definitely is. But you gotta embrace that. You know what I mean? You gotta say, I don't know if I can learn that all in 2 weeks. And this isn't a 2-week operation. You gotta sit there and say, hey, I'm starting from square one.
Yeah.
And do the necessary research. And there's really no excuse not to. I mean,
and that's the thing. I don't think people nowadays, especially with I was in one of our other podcasts, we were talking about kind of time is nobody wants to wait anymore, bro. Like everybody wants shit to happen right there and then. If you start a company, everybody wants it to be successful in 2 months, 3 months. Nobody really is in it. Well, at least not most successful entrepreneurs. They understand that it's a long-term process.
Absolutely.
But with social media and everything popping up, that's one of the things that I get asked a lot. Is like. Because I basically kind of came out of nowhere as well, I was working for the Paleta bar, and I ended up owning one of the Paleta bars, but that was a 2-year process, bro, that nobody really saw, Now I talk a little bit because now it's getting somewhere, but before, like, it's 2-year process, bro. Like everybody only sees the finished product. They don't see all the background stuff.
They really don't, man. They really don't. And I mean, it's cool to be able to do stuff like this. Maybe we can share some insight. But at the end of the day, if you want to do something, man, like it's going to be a lot of like thankless work,
Oh yeah.
And you have to basically get used to that, and just get used to the fact that nobody's immediately going to see how hard you're working, and you got to live with that, bro. Like this isn't like you don't need a pat on the back for everything you do, and expecting one, even when you've worked really hard. Like there still might not be a pat on the back right away. You got to still keep grinding, you know what I mean? Because that's just how it's done. That's just how it's done.
How did so now that kind of the Astral Clothing and everything is kind of kicking off? You know, what was kind of that eye-opening moment where you're like, shit, like I have something here, like I have to go 150% at this right now.
You know what? Honestly, bro, like I've been in love with the concept since I started it.
Yeah.
So I never really like even considered not doing it. Once I started considering doing it,
Yeah.
and there was like about a 6-month process from the start of like kind of building out just the first stuff and to actually releasing a collection.
Yeah.
But to be honest, bro, like I knew that if I could communicate this idea both visually and like the narrative behind the brand,
Yeah.
that this is something the marketplace doesn't have. And this is something that this is a space that I can fill in the marketplace, the streetwear marketplace, take this gritty kind of postmodern aesthetic that's really hot right now that I'm a huge fan of, that, I'm passionate about designing, but merge that with philanthropic ideas, like how, because these great brands like Patagonia and like Tom's, they do excellent work in the world, right? And I was super inspired by them, but I don't wear those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just not really my style.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of feel that way, where it's like they're willing to back a brand based on the causes that the brand is aligned with, especially, if it's in their community.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to sacrifice kind of that style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's sort of the whole idea, is that like by doing something you're already doing and participating in a culture you're already part of, you can also still be helping out with something bigger. Because like at the end of the day, the world, the Generation Z is faced with all kinds of like issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we all are, but they really are, the younger ones. Climate change, global wealth inequality, all these types of things.
Yeah.
And the fact is, those things are going to take a forefront if they haven't already. Like the Nike Colin Kaepernick campaign, and that Nike's siding on a big social issue. You know what I mean? So these businesses are going to have to start taking stands on social issues, because they're so divisive, but they're also so important to so many people.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like, my idea was like, let's be the example of how to do that, and show like what a modern brand can be, and like what a modern brand should be expected to be.
Absolutely. And then that's actually, now that you're talking about that, I think the first time I ever saw you guys' clothing was a Puerto Rico shirt. You remember you guys did that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember, I think I might have been at Riverside Paleta Bar, and people was like, yeah, take a look at this clothing brand. They were hot right now, and they're doing something for the community. That was his biggest thing.
Yeah.
Was they're barely starting out, and look, they're already donating so much stuff to, I think it was a Puerto Rico hurricane, right?
Yeah. So when I first started designing Astrl, there were actually 2 hurricanes that had hit Puerto Rico and absolutely devastated it.
Yeah.
And so by the time I actually dropped them, it had been a little delay, but like the islands were still really messed up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was just like a hot topic, right? And so that was the idea from the start, like
Absolutely.
create these designs and have a meaning behind it. Like kind of our mantra is streetwear with a purpose.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that means actually donating to a specific cause and people that are specifically in need.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just thought-provoking design, like make something that is like alluding to self-improvement, or we explore a lot of global themes. That's like a big thing too, is like viewing the world as a global community.
Okay. Damn, man, that's crazy right there, bro. I mean, even you would expect like a big company like Nike, like Adidas, to do that, but even just a starting company to already, not necessarily think about their growth, like your growth specifically, but be more worried about helping out first before being worried about, that already says a lot, bro. Like, a lot of people get into business for the money, and that's the reason they get burnt out. That's the reason why in a year they don't want to do business anymore. Because the money's not there in a year, it's not there in 2 years, it's not there in 3 years,
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build that up. But yeah, man, just your brand is amazing, bro. I can't, like I was telling you earlier, my friend Josh, he has his own brand, and he's kind of the same way, he's kind of wanting to help the community and everything, but I don't think anybody's done it in how you guys have so far, and you've had it for how many years, the company itself?
Only a year, dude. About a year and 2 months now.
That's crazy.
So I mean, we're new, bro. But like that's why I said that aha moment.
Yeah.
Actually came like in the post production of the whole brand. It was actually this kind of like soul searching moment I had of like, I want to be in business, I want to create, but I also like see that there's all these problems in the world. And I feel that like business owners have so much of a capability because we're the ones who kind of move money and set trends and things like this.
I agree.
We can kind of start directing people's attention towards helping people who need it and directing people's capital towards these causes. Then we can actually get some stuff done, because people are so frustrated with the government because, people on this side are just screaming at people on this side. Congress is deadlocked and everybody's just pointing the finger at somebody else. And that's really discouraging. And that's not what's going to help us. That's not what's going to clean up our environment. That's not what's going to, raise the poorer communities out of poverty.
Absolutely.
It's going to be us citizens taking it into our hands, like to develop our communities and to say, hey, we don't want this. We're not going to tolerate certain things. We're going to help out certain people who need it. And, we're not going to wait for, unfortunately, our elected official that's probably not going to do anything. I mean,
no, I agree. I mean, more people are worried about themselves than others. That's unfortunately how the world works. But there are people like yourself that rather put other people in front first and watch somebody else kind of thrive before themselves. Let's get back a little bit, bro. I just kind of want to, I want people to really understand, like, what was your full-time job before doing this? What are you still working? Or?
I'm not working actually. Okay. So this is my full-time thing. Before this though, I was like a professional server and bartender.
Okay.
So that was actually really fun. Like I didn't love having a boss by any means, but like for most of my early 20s, that's all I did. And so I had like a good amount of flexibility and respectable income for the time. But at the end of the day, it's just like, I wasn't happy doing that. You know what I mean? And I knew it. And I didn't want to be like, if you've ever like been like in a kitchen, like with servers, I don't know if that like translates to paleta bar as much. It probably doesn't, but like, there's a lot of like, oh, I hate this, or, oh, I'm not cut. And at the end of the day, I'm like, but it's all on us. Like our situation is on us, you know, like, and so if I'm going to be a server, I'm going to have a good attitude about it. And if I know this isn't what I want to do, then it's up to me to get myself out of that position. Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and complain. But, on another note, and this is something I kind of like have to recommend to so many young people, like if you need to get money while you're in college or just extra money, that's a great way to do it, because you meet people. You have to interact with a bunch of different types of people. That's true. And there's usually some good flexibility with income. So I think it's a great way to like get yourself going. If you want to focus on a project or a skill that you're trying to develop, you can have that. And then over here, you can
kind of do this thing. But it's not something that you want to do for the rest of your life.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And I think most entrepreneurs will tell you that, like their first or second or third job was like, I don't want to do that shit, I started off, just like you were saying, at McDonald's. So, dude, literally every single person I would walk in through the door, my coworkers, they were like, I freaking hate my job. Like I have to be at McDonald's. I have to deal with the people. And my whole take on everything has always been like, I'm going to do my best. It doesn't matter where I work.
Absolutely.
And I had so many people going through. I worked at the one up at UNM, the one right there across the street by Yale.
Oh yeah.
So dude, I had to deal with so many people, bro. Like the worst, the best, like all kinds of people, man.
Everything.
And no matter who it was, I would treat people the same way. When I would get done with school, I'd go into work and I would still have the same attitude. And that just is because, you doesn't matter again if you don't like your job, but you're gonna have to do it with a decent amount of passion, to get yourself to the next level.
Exactly. You can use those jobs and those initial experiences to build your work ethic.
Exactly.
And that's the way you should approach it. Don't be like, oh, well, when I own my business, that's when I'll start working hard. Yeah. You're never going to own a business if you're waiting to work hard. It's not going to happen unless maybe your dad's going to give you his business or something. Yeah. I don't know. But for the most part, like you got to develop those skills
Yep.
and then apply them to what you do.
Did you know like early on in your life though that you were eventually gonna like either be like self-employed or you knew you were gonna be somebody of importance in life?
See, I would probably say the second one. I didn't really I wasn't super entrepreneurial. Like I was very independent,
Okay.
but I didn't like have older business people in my family.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really privy to that. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but I was very like, you have to like think for yourself and you have to kind of like make your own way in this world. So to that end, I kind of always felt like, I'm going to be somebody, you know what I mean? Because I'm seeing this world like a unique way. And I feel like, basically I just felt like I could be someone. And that's really all I needed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
that's all anybody needs, right?
In a way you had the mindset, you had the entrepreneurial mindset. So maybe, I would say maybe subconsciously you were maybe thinking about,
exactly.
kind of doing your own thing. and
Exactly. So it was like, I'm going to be independent at whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to be excellent at whatever it is. Because, as a kid, I want to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a little kid. But I grew up and I'm 5'9". So, like, what are you going to do?
You can be a point guard, bro.
Yeah,
but
and it's not impossible. But, yeah, like, after a while, like, that wasn't obviously going to be the thing,
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like a faith in myself that, like, whatever I do, put myself towards, that I can do that. Because, like, at the end of the day, it's just, like, digging deep and, like, educating yourself and working hard and keeping a good attitude. Like, that's, like, half the battle is just keeping a good attitude. And, like, you're not going to get immediate results. Or you might get great results and then there might be, like, some kind of, like, peaks and valleys and stuff. You know what I mean? And, like, you have to kind of have the mind state of, like, no, I'm going to just stick to my guns. I'm going to continue to, like, pursue what this is. And I'm not going to take anything too personal. And hopefully it's all going to come together. And now it's like, I'm not anywhere near where I want to be with this brand.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely starting to see some very tangible, like, benchmarks getting hit. Yeah, some tangible progress. Nice. People are starting to really see the vision and buy into the vision. Absolutely. And, like, kind of like how you had mentioned, it's a global brand, because we can ship everywhere.
Yeah.
And, I've shipped to France, the UK, Ireland, Albania.
Dang.
You know what I mean? So it's like the possibilities are really endless.
And that's from Albuquerque, bro.
From Albuquerque.
That's what I was gonna mention to you is like, you don't hear anybody from any clothing line from Albuquerque making it out. You have everybody goes out to LA, they go out to Miami, they go out to these big kind of hot spots where supposedly their brand is supposed to grow, but you're doing it out of here, bro.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, those are markets that we're going to hit at some point. Yeah. There's no doubt. But, like, this is, like, if we can't do it here, at least at, like, some kind of scale, then what's to make me think that I could do it out there?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to make this here, make this work here, and then we're going to scale up and we're going to scale out. And in the digital world, like, you have so much room. You can market in these places without even setting foot there.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that I can't, like, kind of launch a national or even global brand from right here.
Yeah, social media's been playing a huge role now for the past 10 years, bro. Like, you literally right now we could be talking and I can be making money just hitting a few buttons online. It's so easy, bro, to find ways to to either scale your business. To try and just, make some extra income. But I don't think people take advantage of it, bro. Everybody's so worried about, like, oh man, my life sucks. Like, I have this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that.
You grew up here, right?
Yeah.
So, like, like, sort of the mentality some people have here, and it's kind of like this cloud that sort of hangs over. Yeah.
That's why they call it a land of entrapment.
Yeah, and I almost don't even want to hear that anymore, because I know about, the economy could be better, but it's growing. Yeah. There is crime here. Like, all of that stuff is true, but, like, you're entrapped if you think you're entrapped.
Yeah, it's all about
mindset. What I mean? And so when they're like, oh, I'd be successful if I lived here, and it's like, but you ain't even doing nothing here. You ain't even trying to do anything here. Exactly. So you know what I mean? Like, how does that? You got to change your mind state here. And sure, it may be perfectly fine that somebody needs to go to bigger markets to do certain type of work, that's great. But like you can build yourself here. There's no doubt about that.
No, I agree.
You know?
I agree. I mean, I grew up in the South Valley, and literally all my friends that I have now, or that I grew up with, they're all either, kind of either druggies, bro. They work like super super minimum wage jobs, and there were some of the people that were the same way, bro. Like they're just like, oh, there's nothing for me here, like I don't really have anything. Like, what am I supposed to do?
And
I
it's
don't like
just-
school, and it's sad, bro. It's so sad to see, those people that are closest to you, bro, like struggling that way. But it's all because the mindset is not right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It takes one single opportunity for you to just change your mindset for you to get to bigger places.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Like when I hear people say, "Oh, I hate the city," like for one, I do get like I understand the frustration,
Yeah.
but like it's like, man, this city isn't your problem, bro. Like whatever, like it starts with you. It
Yeah.
starts with you, and if you're gonna accept, a shitty existence, or if you're gonna, not handle yourself properly in your personal life,
Yeah.
that's on you,
Exactly.
and like, yeah, people do come from like harsher circumstances than other people, there's no doubt, but like at the end of the day, like it's still just up to you to change that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
agree.
so, if you can't change your mindset here, like it's probably not going to happen anywhere
In a
else.
bigger city, man, there's too much competition, and especially if you want to go into business, there's so much people that have more hunger than you. They will outwork you, first of all, so you gotta train your mind, bro. That's kind of one of the biggest things, is you gotta train your mind. Like, like if you're freaking training for a competition, you know what I mean? Like your mind has to be right first and foremost, and then all the efforts and everything else comes after. But what was it gonna do me good if I have a shitty mindset? If I'm every single day that I wake up, I'm like, oh, today's gonna be a bad day. I can do as much work as I want. I can work 150% every single day, but if your mindset's not right, all that work is going to waste.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
you're not seeing the opportunities of how you might even work really hard at your job, like you just said.
Yeah,
But if you're not like seeing how you could leverage this hard work towards something bigger and better for yourself, then you're screwing yourself. Like you
I
just
agree.
cannot afford to wake up and feel sorry for yourself about your situation.
Yeah,
You can't. Like, or you're gonna pay the price. You're gonna be the one who isn't doing nothing,
I agree.
and you're gonna see other people pass you by, and you're gonna wonder why them. And it's like, don't wonder that. Like, look at yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, and get it together, man. Like, there's like I was saying, for self education, there's all those resources for training your mind too.
Yeah.
Like I see you got some books over here.
Yeah,
some
yeah,
books
we got
that
a
I've
little-
read.
Next Door to the CEO, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Definitely recommend Rich
Yeah,
Dad Poor Dad.
no,
for
that's
a lot
what
of
that's the
people, man.
one, and that really gets that mind state from people that didn't necessarily come from like an economically successful family,
Yeah.
like myself. Now, I didn't come from like terrible conditions or anything like
Yeah.
that, but very like lower middle class type background. So I didn't really I couldn't really visualize. I didn't even think to visualize a lot of times. And then it was once I started like exposing myself to this stuff on purpose,
Yeah,
then I started like saying like, oh, it's just a matter of like applying yourself, finding out what you need to know, and you know what I mean, like getting it
Yeah.
done.
I mean, what's your vision though, bro? Like in terms of like this clothing brand, like what every single day that you wake up, what's the thing that drives you to kind of keep pushing forward and make this happen?
Well, I want to be the biggest streetwear brand in the world, to be honest. Like I want to compete with your favorite brands. If you like
Okay.
Supreme, if you like Off-White, if you like, I mean,
I love that, bro.
like all that stuff, and we could do the same stuff. Imagine how much more help we could give to people. Say Florida gets wiped out in a hurricane. We're a huge multinational brand. We can sponsor like a give back effort, massive. Not just the money we donate. We can garner donations from all over the country and the world, and just put a laser focus on these things and show people what brand responsibility is about, while also being like the most notable brand. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what does
yeah.
that say about you if you're associating with this brand? So it's that's the vibe I want to give, and that's the vibe I want people to feel. Like, I love Astrl Clothing.
Yeah,
I love my new Astrl jacket I just copped, and I love the fact that like as a result of that, like better things are happening in the world.
Absolutely. So now that you know that you've been able to establish the brand, locally, globally, like you were saying, you've been able to ship to different places. Is there a certain business model that you kind of have that you're following, a business plan? Like what's your bigger vision now that you're seeing that the clothing line is kind of popping off?
So at this stage, I'm really like focused on optimizing just like operations.
Yeah.
Whether it's how I store things, my bookkeeping, how I'm getting ahead of my orders. Like for example, in the fashion game, like you really should have your stuff your next year designed going into it, like the whole year.
Really?
And so, I mean, like today, for example, I designed 2 T-shirts from the line I'm going to release next fall.
Oh, dang.
But also, optimizing like my process of shipping orders, of getting out ahead of making my marketing materials way beforehand, scheduling that stuff out, because hype is so much important to what I do. So I mean, I have to have like a smooth rollout, and I've got, with each rollout I've gotten better and more successful, but I still could optimize,
a little bit more. That's, bro, so many people are just like, holy crap, like every single time, that's why Supreme is so exclusive, like these bigger brands, because of the way they kind of market themselves, the way they're kind of so, kind of exclusive. They're like, okay, well, we're only releasing this much or this much, is that sort of like your same sort of vision? Or
so I don't know if we'll go fully to that like completely super hyper exclusive model all the time, but we're definitely doing limited drops, and that's been really successful. Even this most recent time with the Astral Projections drop, I pretty much said, like, this is it, like I'm gonna make these hoodies in 2 colors and you probably will never see them again, at least not in this color scheme. And people responded to that, and they got out and they saw it, and they're like, well, I could sleep on this, or I better cop it. And like, to be honest, like a few people have slept, and then they hit me up, and then they're like, oh, let me get that. I'm like, dude, look at this site. It says sold out. It's out of stock, man. I tried to tell you.
What's the meaning behind that, bro? Because I saw the black, right? You did a black one.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at it with it has the guy in the back laying down, like, that design is sick, bro. Like, what was kind of like the...
So the idea behind Astral Projections is just like, astral projecting is like casting your mind out of your body into seeing the bigger picture. And I'm not necessarily like saying like, go astral project. I don't necessarily know if it's a literal thing. You know, some people would tell you it is, some people won't. But the idea is like stepping out of yourself and seeing the bigger picture. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And seeing the broader scope of what you're doing and what we're doing here. Yeah. And that's like, to me, that's an important part of self-development.
That's true, man. That's true. I love that, bro. I love that. This guy's all rocked out, bro. He's like, you guys got pants too, man. Bro,
but to the business model too, I mean, a big part of what I'm doing is trying to, I mean, I don't want to say innovate, but for Albuquerque, it is kind of innovative. I'm going out of my way to do things differently than anybody else here. And then also in bigger markets, like I haven't necessarily seen a lot of like what I'm doing, you know, like with sewing these on and finding out who can make these, and like who's going to give me the best deal on these. Okay, who can sew it on, and how quickly can they get that done if I have a release date, and like where can I get cargo pants that are good quality but at a reasonable price. And this is like the day to day that you're fielding these things, and you're trying to find out like, okay, like these people can do this for this price, but these people can do this and nobody else is doing it. Yeah. You know, and kind of balancing all those things together to where like I can really make a statement with what I'm releasing. You know?
Absolutely.
And like, nothing against people who drop graphic tees. I'm totally like gonna be on the graphic tee game soon, because I've only actually dropped 2 regular graphic tees. Yeah. But I'm not just printing shirts out here. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can we make a hat that someone's gonna see and be like, I don't know where to get that. I've never even seen a hat like that.
Well, you've been doing too the shorts, right? Like I think I saw one like a famous shorts? MMA fighter. He was wearing the shorts, bro. And I was like, damn, man, like streetwear, bro. Like drifting into other directions too. That's kind of like it'd be interesting to see, bro. I think, you know, with your vision and with everything that you're trying to do, bro. I honestly see this kind of going into not necessarily just streetwear, bro. Like this can literally hit every single different market.
And by no means am I trying to pigeonhole myself into like one market. Like I want to do, you know, Astrl sport collections because
Nice.
I'm super, you know, I grew up in gyms doing different sports and I'm super, that's still a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day. So, you know, I want to do that stuff like that too. I want to design a soccer kit. I want to do, you know, like a whole.
If you do, bro, you know I'm rocking that,
bro.
Man. I got my shirt back here.
You're the lead model for that, bro.
I'll be right here, bro, ready to go.
But yeah, like basketball jerseys, but actual gym wear too.
Nice.
You know, and just kind of do like a subline, just like with the shorts. You know, I mean, that was like one product, but I would love to be able to come out someday and do like a whole subline over here. This is for the gym, and then here's our kind of main line, and that way we're kind of touching everybody, and everybody gets to like get their piece.
Get the feel, get the feel of Astrl Clothing, bro. I love that. What's kind of your day to day now, man? Like now you're getting ready to graduate college. So what's your day to day like? What?
Wake up, check my email. Who am I talking to that day? What is kind of lately? It's been like a lot of manufacturing and designing stuff because I got a release coming out December 7th.
Okay.
And then probably another one early January. I'm trying to make it a whole release on December 7th, but since we're working with some people overseas, we'll see. But in any case, we have 2 releases coming up in the coming months. I'm already working on next spring and started work on next fall. So I'm already talking to different manufacturers, going back and forth, filling orders. That's like my favorite thing to do. Like first thing, like we got orders, go fill the orders.
How many hours do you work a day, bro?
It really depends on the day. It can go anywhere from like 3 hours to like, I mean, I've done days where I'm like 12, I don't know, 13 hours. If I'm doing an event, forget about it. Like I did, the day I dropped this, I did an event and did a 9-hour event and then left for another 3-hour event after, like right after. So it's really what it takes. Yeah, what it takes, you know, and of course managing social media, that takes a lot of time, and you want to do it correctly, and you want to put your passion into it because people can sense it if you don't.
That's one thing that I need to get better at, bro. Like especially with my store in Bernalillo, because I just get so caught up in like, you know, just kind of working, and I forget about social media. So I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna post it on social media randomly, but it's not so consistent, you know. So finding that balance where you can do it consistently. What's your kind of like work to sleep ratio?
I would say I get like 7 hours of sleep, especially because I work out. So I'm not like, I don't operate optimally off of like less sleep. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't have time to sleep. And when I don't have time, I don't have time, and we'll cut it. But like if I'm like structuring my day, like for performance reasons, I'm trying to get at least 7 hours of sleep.
And that's why like the stigma again, you know, like even so many people think that like entrepreneurs, they work 20 hours a week or 20 hours a day and they get 4 hours of sleep, you know, but it just comes down to like, you know, you knowing your own body. And like Gary Vee says, bro, like, I mean, you know, whatever you get done while you're awake, you can be awake for 3 or 4 hours. But if you can get your stuff done in that time, then, you know, who cares what you do with the other hours? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that sort of comes from like because I did start this when I was still working.
Yeah.
And then obviously in school. So like lately, school's been a big part, but that's kind of cool because you go to school and you know, you're working on school stuff, but you're also working on this too, or at least in my case.
Yeah.
You know, I'm over here uploading stuff to the website while I'm in the class, you know, and still paying attention. So it's been that kind of like grind of like, well, we're just getting work in as we can, you know. We need to do a photo shoot. Let's get this thing in at 5 o'clock. Let's get these photos shot and let's try to get them posted tomorrow.
But do you even feel like it's work? Is it more like?
Usually I don't, man. To be honest, like there's some things that are a little more tedious than others, for sure. But usually the thing that stresses me out the most is just having to worry about things other than Astrl. I'm like, nah, I would like to just sit down. I don't care if I'm having to like, you know, refine the business plan or you know, edit a spreadsheet and of course like the best thing is design. Like that's leisure time, man. That's when I could just get lost for hours doing that, you know. And
you're the only one that's right now basically in your, you know, Astrl clothing line. You're in charge of doing all the designing, everything,
bro, everything right now. And that isn't to say like as we scale up, I mean the designing duties will grow quite a bit,
Absolutely.
and so I don't plan to just be the only person who ever like does an astral design. More kind of move into an art director role as it scales up.
Yeah.
That way I can focus on expansion and more the growth and entrepreneurial aspect of it. Because I think I'm like a good balance between creative and industrious, because I know like, I mean, as far as like art is concerned and design is concerned, I'm not the best person I know at either one of those things. I know some people that are way more talented, but they don't really know how to like leverage that into like into like an actual business model. And so that's sort of like what I do. I'm balancing.
Well, that's another, we were talking about earlier. That's a good quality of a leader, because at the end of the day, if you can find people, you're able to lead people into helping you out in stuff you might not be strong at, but kind of filling in and then helping the whole company as a whole. That's what it's about, bro. And that's what big business is about. Somebody might be good at financing, somebody might be good at design, but they're not good at these other areas, but they have people that are really good at, they're able to trust them with it,
Exactly. And as the leader, you got to know a little of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't have to know a lot. And something that I've been super blessed with is being around a group of people who's creative, who's willing to help, and who have their own really interesting contributions that they can give, whether it's photography or just little elements of the business here and there. And I think that's great. And that's a huge motivation for me for what I do too. Definitely. Besides helping the world and all those kind of bigger aspirations, it's like, I want to show like my family and my group of friends, like, hey, we can all like do this. You know what I mean? Like,
did you have like, getting into that a little bit, as the Astral's growing, did you have like, people that didn't believe in it, even like close people that you were kind of maybe upset about, like, you're not gonna believe in me,
Yeah. I mean, I never had anybody come out and like kind of like shit on me publicly or anything like that. But I sense doubt in some people, and they're just like, he's like, maybe he's talking about this month, but we'll see where you're at. Or it's like a lot of talk. And I honestly, I didn't like, I do take that as motivation for sure.
Yeah.
But what I also take as motivation is like those same people being like, yo, I didn't know you were actually going to do this. Like, I've been told you. Yeah. It's all good, but I told you. And I know how you looked at me like you didn't believe me. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I do think about that. I think about, some personal, times when I felt like people didn't believe in me. And I said, you know what? I could be mad at them. I could be mad at the world. But, like, I'm going to believe in myself. And I'm going to prove them wrong by, like, buying into what I am passionate about.
Exactly.
And that's what fuck them, you know what I mean?
Dude, I have that exact same fucking mentality, bro, and it's crazy because after you figure out exactly, you just said you don't fucking need them, dude, your world gets so much fucking better. You're just like, shit, I didn't have to worry about that the whole time. I could have literally just been doing my own thing, and this guy would have been back there no matter what,
Yeah.
But it's crazy, bro. Like, I'm telling you, man, I think, you've been blessed. I've been blessed. A lot of entrepreneurs have been blessed with, especially here in Albuquerque. Again, we get back to the negativity of, the whole Albuquerque mindset, that we've been kind of able to grow, past that, bro. Like, looking at people and just like saying like, you fucking said, I have this cool little story. I have this guy. So my mom still works at McDonald's. She's working for 14 years, I have yet to have enough money to kind of get out of work,
But
soon, bro.
You're working hard towards it, bro.
Yeah. So she had one of my friends come in, and this was when we were growing up, and the guy told her like, hey, like, how's your son doing? And he was like, oh, he's good. He owns a business over here, and he's doing this. Like, oh man, that's crazy. Like, I thought, out of everybody, he was gonna be either dead or in jail. And I was like, damn, because it's like, fuck, bro. Like, when you hear that stuff, dude, you're just like, these people are supposed to be like my friends, supposed to be the ones to support me, but yet at the same time, they might be my biggest doubters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of like have to like reverse engineer your mindset into like just not giving a fuck what people think, bro, and doing your own thing,
Yeah, and either feed off the doubt or just be blind to it. You know what I mean? Because like, I mean, it goes back to all the mind state stuff. Like when you wake up every day, there's a million terrible things in this world you could focus on.
Yeah.
There are. But there's also a million beautiful things in this world you can focus on. And it's got to be a decision that, like, I might not even be feeling that great when I wake up, but I know I'm going to be looking a certain way. I'm going to be structuring my day out a certain way,
Yeah.
so that even if I don't feel as passionate or motivated this day,
Yeah.
that I'm still focused and still at least working in a better direction. And you know what? Go figure. You end up like feeling better. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Like,
I agree. Just switching out that little switch, bro, in your brain and getting that right mindset. Where do you see, bro, like, you know, Astral in 5 years, bro? Like, what's your kind of 5 year plan, or even just long term plan? What's
well,
the next big thing?
5 year, I would say, like, by that time I want to be in 2 flagship stores. So
Okay.
I know everybody's kind of like saying the retail model is kind of like it's outdated, and perhaps it has for a lot of retail style businesses, like
Yeah.
especially like the mall style businesses. But for boutiques, it's booming out here, bro. Like people want to see their streetwear, because part of why they like it is because of the exclusivity.
Yeah.
And so they want to come in, they want to interact. So that's really important for me. I mean, I'm already working on getting a flagship here in Albuquerque.
Okay.
We'll see. I mean, I want that to happen as soon as possible, but there's definitely a lot of ducks that have to get in a row. But I mean, I'm already actively working on that. So I want to have one here, and then the dream is to have a spot in LA on Melrose or Fairfax, which is like
Oh wow.
the streetwear capital of the world. So if you're there, man, you're
big.
there.
You
know?
made it already. You already
You
made
know,
it.
so it's big dreams, but it's also like there's no reason it can't be done.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I mean, just, you know, based off your energy, bro, and everything we talked about today, bro, it's like I don't see why 5 years, bro. I guarantee you will be sitting here again. Maybe not in the same room, but it's sort of with the same atmosphere. And you know, you'll be telling me about how successful the store in Melrose will be, bro.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. Any, you know, just to kind of wrap it up a little bit, any advice you have maybe to young creatives, young entrepreneurs, something to kind of help them keep pushing?
just like honestly, it's like not as bad as you think it is. And if you have something that you're passionate about, just like focus on that, believe in that, and like all of that negative stuff, like it'll start to dissipate once you work a little bit harder at what you're doing. And I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but like it's really like just apply it. Just apply that basic idea, you know, like because people, it's the ups and downs, they throw people off, and they're like, well, I was doing good at this and then this happened, and then it's like, no, it's not, it's never that bad.
Yeah.
Stick to your guns, stick to what you're doing, and you'll come out the other side.
Awesome. I love that, bro. Those are some wise words, my man. Well, Adam, thank you so much, brother, for being on this episode. We look forward to it, guys. This was absolutely fire. A lot of content, a lot of stuff going down with Astrl Clothing. Any future things that you're working on here, maybe pretty soon, other than the release December 7th?
December 7th, hopefully the winter drop will be part of that. So we'll be dropping a bunch of new fire pieces. If you thought this last one was dope, wait till you see the next one.
Awesome. We'll check back with you guys soon.